Folks, we're back with turn 100. So there's just one wonder left, the Via Recta Suk. No one has built it. I've claimed a bunch. Frederick has claimed the Colossus and the Hagia Sophia. Via Recta Suk is decidedly underwhelming, although it is 2 victory points. We'll probably want to snag it at some point when I have the resources for it. It is 1200 wood and 1200 stone and 600 wood though, so not that compelling. Did finally unlock luxuries. My tech tree is coming along pretty quickly. We were just zooming through. I had barding next turn. 3 inquiries every 4 years is pretty good, and I did rush some inquiries with orders to speed up barding because I really want to make sure I can upgrade my chariots to barding. From there, we're sort of careening towards the end of the tech tree. Scholarship might be worth getting to get library. Realistically, we have Droman, we have barding, we have our tier 7 unit. There's not really that much more that we could want. Don't have any vision on him yet. I have some scouts that are almost in position, just did not have the orders to move them over there. So very, very important to get that. I've got a bit of a navy started up over here. I've destroyed the Numidians entirely. And I'm working on the Vandals. I think they are just down to one city somewhere hiding here, not sure. Or might be here, who knows. My family opinion has kind of cratered lately. I'm not entirely sure why either. Perhaps rushing out of both these cities has fueled some discontent. Although both of these cities are decent in terms of discontent. If we look at our family opinion screen, we can see turn 95, the Achaemenids were at 213, and I guess these are the turns I started rushing, and I just sort of cratered. Definitely want to fix that. Rushing does impact family negative opinion quite a bit. 18 discontent, so it sort of speeds it up, and this city's only 3.1 a turn. So yeah, so pretty good. Getting temples everywhere to really manage my order economy. Can take a look at that as well. Order economy continues to go for the new. Turn 90, we're at plus 71, 100 or 105. Training wise, pretty good. Science, similarly 182, and now we're at 237. So really zooming up. Food production, iron production continues to go. Stone production is pretty leveled off. Don't really feel like I need too much more stone with just one wonder left on the table. And wood production, likewise, has pretty much leveled off. Don't feel like I need that much. Can scroll through the national wealth table, the records table, population, specialists, 43 specialists, largely focused on actually elder monks, quite a lot of them. Makes me wonder whether I should get enlightenment, which does -2 unhappiness. So I could pick up enlightenment for that. It's a tier 3 tech with 9 of them. That actually is pretty significant. So maybe that's something I will put in my list of consider enlightenment next turn, maybe. Although I think I want to get temples everywhere before I burn a disciple on enlightenment. Workers 35, military units, you can see here. Only lost 2 units to barbarians, 135 killed, 25 camps cleared. At 10 laws with 2 more laws that I'm holding. Pilgrimage and Holy War and Autarky and Trade League. The reason I'm holding them is because Autarky will let me build cataphracts anywhere but costs 50 science a year. And Holy War will give me 1 random promotion for new units, but it costs 25 science a year. I do not want to tank my science production yet. I will pick those laws if and when we go to war. When I want to go on full war footing and basically build everywhere, I just have tons of units. But right now we're both similar and competent, so we're pretty much holding. I do really want to get vision. Ideally some agents in his cities. I do have an ambition for 6 agents, so would love to get that underway. This map is really big, and moving scouts across them is tough, and I just have not had the orders to spare. So we've got some scouts in position that will move along soon. I am considering, but probably not going to try to snipe his Colossus with a bunch of Droman, largely because I will not be able to start it in the city for 16 years. Just don't have the culture there. So trying to get some luxuries on board. I think I will have some lavender, which will be great for the clerics. Really worried about this Statesmen city rep. So I am using influence, intercession, and sending a pacify city to their very unhappy city here, which has 8. So they are the right religion too. So God help us if they switch to Persian paganism. So yeah. Let's take a look here. What else? Really want to get training up and running everywhere. Just sort of look through my city list and sort by training and figure out. I think I'm getting ranges here. Yeah, I have one range here and then another range somewhere, perhaps. Or maybe I started that instead of another range. So probably want to start another range. Start second range, Zadra. Yeah. And Cyrus also needs a range, I think. And signed Kurzma's Zadra. That soldier. I think I still have two more. So Kurzma Zadra in turn 1 or 2. So many things to keep track of. It is actually quite challenging to play this game when you're not playing for a day or so, and then you need to figure out where you were. I do use notes pretty frequently, but don't always check them. I also have a Google or a text document with everything in there. Rushing out Hatti just to sort of secure the hunter opinion, not really too crazy. Getting fur here, just getting all these luxuries so I can send them to cities as well, especially if I do go for the Erector-Suk. It is -1 unhappiness per city luxury, which is really not that much, but I guess it's decent. Getting eventually a lavender specialist here, and then another one here. Gonna found this Clerics, found this Hunters, and found this Statesmen. Do need to sort of keep my cities balanced. Actually, 10 hunter cities all of a sudden. So the other families are getting a bit envious, which isn't great. Improvements, lots and lots of improvements. Monasteries, temples, pretty good coverage. I do have 25 cities, but only 14 monasteries, so I'm behind there. That's another reason I don't want to burn a disciple on that. 20 garrisons as well, 5 more garrisons, and I just did found some cities though. So pretty good overall. 7 courtiers, largely thanks to that judge ruler that I've had, and 37 techs. And yeah, military score, we're continuing to bolster our military, largely just based off of that one city and I guess the Dromons. We've got Zadrakarta, I guess. Zadrakarta building, cataphract archers, and then I've pumped out a couple triremes and more importantly Dromons that's protecting my lighthouse. And I will build a garrison towards this, I think, and sort of connect down here. This city is going to be a hunter city with those many, many crabs. I haven't found the wine that's allegedly on this map somewhere, so definitely want to find some because I really need to solve my statesman unhappiness, but I'm glad I found lavender and incense, and I'm getting those online as quickly as I can. I think I rushed out lavender somewhere. Lavender here so that I can give away those luxuries. Yeah, all in all, interesting turn 100. Not really sure how this game is going to end. I feel like fighting a war, whoever attacks is just going to have a really tough time because the other person has units so much closer. One option is just to like get an entire line of units and slowly advance them. But that, I mean, the game may end before. That's another reason why I'm not taking texts that cost science up or laws that cost science upkeep, because I do not want to slow down the science train. I don't think I can rush any more inquiries with orders. The discontent costs are pretty bad, and also just it's a lot of orders. I can if I need to, but I think once I have barding, I pretty much have everything I want. I can get vaulting if I want iconography. Scholarship is an option. Elites is kind of nice as well. Fiscal policy gives me the ability to buy orders, and monetary reform, which is also kind of nice. Buying and selling orders is sort of huge in war, although I feel like the order economy is pretty good. So not entirely sure where I want to take the tech tree next. I think vaulting, perhaps, after barding, if I have an option for it. And maybe scholarship to get some libraries up. We're doing pretty well in terms of science, I feel like, just having a lot of cities. Frederick is on, looks like 16 cities, if I'm counting right. I don't know why it doesn't show in this tooltip, but just you have to count manually in this tooltip. Could be easier. So settling, moving our things. We'll do a mass upgrade to katas next turn. Probably won't have enough to upgrade all of them. I think I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chariots, and it will cost, I think katas, what, 100, 100? 100, so we'll have just enough, and the training as well. So actually we'll be able to upgrade all our chariots up. Then perhaps maybe go for, I think infantry square actually is probably the last military tech I want. He's Hatti, which means he's going to have a unique unit that is horse. So having a pikeman will be very nice, and I'm sure he's going to have pikemen as well, which makes me also potentially want to get cohorts so I can deal with his pikemen. Realistically, my cataphract archers can also deal with his pikemen pretty well. The biggest thing I think is just getting scouts into his cities. I think not having that, and I've failed to do that for the last 30, 40, 50 turns, is actually a huge shortcoming on my part, because I really should have had a scout in here. This city, I'm sure, is producing a ton of science and civics. I'm just missing out a lot of income there. So I just should have prioritized that higher. Didn't. Even last turn, I really didn't move these scouts too much, and probably should have. So definitely hope in the next check-in in 10 years, you'll see a bunch of agents in these cities, maybe not 6, but hopefully at least 4, 3 or 4. Yeah, I need to figure out what to do with these spearmen. I think they kind of want to become pikemen. I also have my units very spread out right now, and always concentrated force is better. I don't really have that much vision, so don't know where he is. Yeah, which is pretty unsettling. I have not seen any signs. Presumably he's just teching his heart out, trying to tech, and I'm doing the same. I think he wins on culture because he has the Mausoleum Wonder that gives 40% extra culture in every city, which even if I was focused on cultures in cities, which I'm not, I don't have very many, if any, Odeons. I think I did not build a single Odeon this game. I would just lose for culture, which means I am going to need to declare war on him. Well, I already have declared war, but I'm going to need to attack somewhere. So I definitely need to get vision with scouts to be able to determine where and when I want to attack. The force will likely be cataphracts, cataphract archers, pikemen, and potentially swordsmen to deal with his pikemen. Although I, again, really need to see what his army is to decide that. All right, so we've got coastal movement here nicely all along. So that's great. Yeah. All right, we'll see you in about 10 turns or so.
And we managed to reach turn 100. We got a change in leadership. Our old leader died last turn, so now we have our new orator currently sitting on the throne, which is where we want to be more or less. It goes a long way to fix our order problem, and we've been working hard on getting our families to friendly, especially working on getting the riders switched over to Zoroastrianism, running conversions with both our head of religion as well as with the leader. Still going to take a bit until we get there. Also poured lots of luxuries into the family, but not quite yet, not quite there. We also got some charisma from the succession event, as well as gracious from clearing one of the Scythian camps. So we're sitting at 9 charisma, which is serves us pretty well, since that means we can one turn these decrees, having pretty much exactly the 80 civics needed to run these each turn. With the new influx of orders, we started moving some of our troops into the front. And here we've pulled this one back because we've seen that alcaras has taken this city side, and we are in strike range, so the one wounded chariot cannot stay in front without the risk of getting sniped. Resources is still wood is the biggest concern, since we've now started upgrading and building drones, which cost 150 apiece. So we probably have to stop some of our chariot production, so we have more wood for our ships. Since on the other end of the map we can also see Drummond's. Yes, we can see at least two. There's one ship anchored here, so at least a third, and he's building these. Just rushing out a gardener before continuing another Drummond. This city is connected, so we can assume he's going to build Drummonds here as well. Here he isn't yet, still building the infrastructure. We also saw his leader change to builder, probably from the earthquake event. Gave him a chunk of science, but we haven't seen him use the builder to stack workers on the wonders. Actually, I have expected him to rush the Circus Maximus, since this will make all his future cavalry units a lot faster, and getting to the front line is a big concern. Could also rush the lighthouse earlier or faster to prevent getting it sniped, since that's a concern. 8 turns might be enough to get a fleet over here, but it's still hard. We also know he now has Macemen unlocked, as well as we know that he has martial code unlocked, otherwise he requires martial code line. So he is most likely working on cataphracts, and he's probably getting there before we can start a fight with him. He also has a bunch of chariots lined up that he will upgrade, so this is kind of bad news for us, since with our tech path we definitely would have wanted to fight before he reaches cataphracts. So I guess we'll see how well pikemen stack up against his almost all mounted army. For our tech, we could of course also try to reach cataphracts, but I think we'll stay with our current unit composition, and our main two targets are one, reaching vaulting for the discontent boost, just to make sure all the discontent levels don't drop our family happiness, since we are barely getting there here. This family is just barely above 200. Of course we can still influence the oligarch, but on the flip side our ambassador, which provides quite a lot of family happiness, is pretty old, so he can die at any time. And the other goal would be to reach towards fiscal policy, giving us both access to elites to store orders for the initial strike, as well as enact both trade league as well as coin debasement. Trade league will allow us to sell resources, mainly iron, for lots of money, and then we can turn that money into orders as well. In terms of family happiness on his side, we can see that he's actually dropping in happiness as well. His statesmen are on cautious. The only family that's still fully happy is his hunters. They should be, if I remember correctly, they are still friendly, and the clerics are also on cautious, it looks like. I think there were even in the one negatives last turn. So it's good to see that all his cities and all the discontent levels in all his cities is starting to take an effect. So hopefully we can get at least 10% combat strength difference out of family happiness. So slowly expanding down here. Hoping to get some more lumber mills online, but this looks like it's going to be too late. Take a quick peek around the record screen. Running here. In terms of specialists, it's mostly special resources, some civics in the capital and the patron seat, and then there's two acolytes for founding Zoroastrianism, and the rest is officers. And warriors and slingers. No, this is produced. It's not what we currently have. So let's not go too deep into detail here. Clear laws adopted. Here's, I think, here's the improvements. So pretty balanced. Not that many farms, but that's because food is dropping because of this. So we are looking to get some more farms online also. Then we can quickly go on these values. Not too much important to see here. See the spike in orders from our orator, hoping for another spike once the riders turn friendly. Food dropping from all the additional units and cities leveling up. Iron going very much up. Need some iron for pikemen. But we're also going to look, it's currently the highest price, so we're looking at selling some of this stuff. Stone will probably stay or drop slightly. We're not looking to increase stone anymore. All the wonders are taken. And this is more than enough to build a few extra garrisons or temples. This is the most crucial, but we don't have any good opportunities to increase our income much, so this will probably be it. Only going down as we build more Drummons and more longbows. There's some we can get online here and a few here. We're also planning on having another woodcutter to add a bit territory here, and once we level the city up we can build another mill here probably. But most of our good lumber spots are already built. But it's looking pretty grim. I'm unsure how the military confrontation will play out. Depends on the first battle will probably be at sea. And we need to make sure we win that. But there's also the concern of building too many ships and then having not enough army. And with him being almost all mounted, he will have an easier time just marching his units across the open plains here. It's also somewhat of a concern here in the north, but he managed to kill off the Numidians, so this is all gone and probably also settled. He is not at war with the Gauls, so he hasn't started to kill off the Gaul camps. Can of course march through the Gauntlands while he's at truce with them, but hopefully he's getting some raids and that are occupying at least a few troops up here. And this is big enough distance, so it's he's hopefully not marching across here. So conflict will probably play out here. Yeah, important to get all the troops massed up somewhere along here, along this river or this river, and then we'll see how the sea battle plays out. And that's it for the situation report on turn 100.
Turn 110, here's our check-in. We've got a standoff coming, basically, or potentially an invasion. He has a lot of Dromons. I don't have great vision everywhere. He's building even more Dromons. At least finally I have vision what's going on. Definitely should have gotten vision here earlier. I think my agent is getting 23 science all by himself, just off of this city, which is producing 58 science, which is pretty amazing. Of course, so is my city producing also a lot of science. Colossus is finishing. He's got a Dromon building there, Dromon protecting it there. I'm trying to, basically, my goal right now, I think, is to get mangonels, which I'm getting right now, ballistics, and basically put a bunch of them here so it becomes very, very hard for him to attack in. I want to hold this front. That will also be a challenge. I need to get more Dromons out. My economy is not quite what it needs to be. Probably want to get some military production up here as well, so that I can get Dromons running out of all of these cities. It's going to come down to, I think, a naval battle. I'm not entirely sure, though. He does have this Coxswain promotion on a bunch of his units, which means he can rout, which is going to be really painful. So we will see, presumably in 10 years, by the time we do the next check-in, the game will likely be decided or not. I am putting him on the clock with 13 cities, 13 points away from victory. None of us has built the Via Recta Suc, largely, I think, because it is just too damn expensive in terms of wood. Burning 600 wood on that is really, really hard to sell when every piece of wood is going to be valuable for Dromons and for mangonels. I've cleared as much forest here as I can as well. I don't see very many, if any, siege units apart from ballistae from him. He also has some longbows. Looks like he's bringing forces south. This feels like where it's going to be the zone of conflict. Yeah, I think he has to attack because otherwise I just win a point victory off culture eventually. Taking a look at my cities here, there's unfortunately no way to sort by time until culture, which I wish there were. But you can sort of see here, 17 years away here. I don't think I have especially once I get monasteries up in some of those newer cities. Still need my religion to spread to a bunch of them. But yeah, we've got 2 years, 18 years. So it feels like he's about maybe 20 years or so before he just went on points. 18 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm just looking 20 years out. 10. Yeah, and then get some culture up into the very new cities, and you can imagine finding 3 more points there somehow. So I win in 20 years or so. Of course, I need to hold that long. So I think it's going to be decided militarily, which is great. Finally, to get windmills, probably should have gotten them earlier. I also wonder whether I should have gotten scholarship earlier. It is kind of nice for libraries in terms of science. Although at this point, science is pretty much irrelevant. Ballistics, cohorts, and then I think I'm done with science. Not even sure. Well, I'm taking cohorts for the ambition, but swordsman will be useful against his pikemen. I have my own pikemen. Yeah, we will see here. Getting the scout into position into these hills so I can get better vision what's going on. Scout popping out there in 2 years. I have an agent here. Yeah, it feels very tense right now, honestly. Let's check in. Military score going straight up. I'm actually very worried that I just do not have enough military right now. I've doubled the size of my forces basically since last time, but he has a lot of pikemen, and cataphracts do not perform that well against pikemen. Pikemen are actually favored against cataphracts, so that's not great. I do have some pikemen of my own. I don't really have any swordsmen of my own, and even if I did, he has a significant number of ballistae. Really, feels like I just need to get a defensive posture up, get those forts up ASAP. Upgrade all my spears to pikemen. I am holding force here for any raids. It doesn't feel like he's going to be attacking the north. These look like they're going south, and these Gauls are just chilling. Using a lot of sort of specialists because I don't take any orders and give me some additional stuff. Growth here. Cataphracts and cataphract archers. Eventually, once I do get cohorts, I will switch that over. I feel like I just don't have tempo. Again, part of it is maybe I didn't have a great plan for winning this game. I was just kind of expanding until we sort of ran into each other here. But yeah, definitely not feeling great right now. I feel like I'm going to crumble as soon as he attacks. We'll see whether that turns out to be the case or not, but it definitely is not a great feeling. Although he's also moting here, which, maybe he's hoping I'm going to attack into him. I really have no incentive to do that. I win on points in 20 years or less, especially if I can get a monastery up in some of these younger cities, right? Like this one, 37 years, but you add in a monastery to that, and it's suddenly way faster. I guess the temple actually is. I should build temples because they give me 6 culture a turn. So this hasn't spread here, but this one's moving over here to get a temple up and running in this city, which will speed that one up. So this one's some years away. Yeah, getting a mill up there eventually. It's just an interesting situation here. Family's mostly okay, trying to keep these guys happy. These guys are very unhappy right now, but we are pacifying this city, which is great. I mean, I think I'm actually doing a pretty good job managing discontent, which is impressive in an MP game. Usually where discontent goes uncared for, but it is getting pretty late in the game. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, just trying to get more econ. Really feel like I need more Dromons. Really worried about whenever he's going to push in here. Feel like this is the right place to fight. Just need to get more defensive structures up. Yeah. Also, my leader is 64, so probably going to die soon, which will give me my son, who's unfortunately crippled. He got hit by one of the tribal raiders in north, but that's fine. It's just him as a general. With hero, which means I am also rallying here, so I can get extra training. So I should probably keep rallying because I want to be able to launch offensive, which may be helpful. Yeah, definitely need to get those ballistics up ASAP. Yeah, Jewish monastery going up here. That really probably should have been a temple. I would like to connect these back, basically. Don't have time to build those nets right now. Can probably move the boats to the front. Temples of Armanis for culture. Move boats to front, since I don't need this water connection anymore. Since I pulled down everything I wanted to pull down. And I think I just need this one here and this one here. So I can pull those 2 south. So yeah, it's interesting. All right. Growth, that's not that interesting. Civics, just with 12 laws, 10 laws, 12 laws. He's up to 10 as well. He picked up Holy War finally. With 12 laws, yeah, I'm just printing civics, which is great. Training as well. Culture, zooming forward, discontent, really finally got it under control. Science production, this is when I enacted autarky and Holy War. Not really sure I should have taken autarky when I did. It did slow down my science rate quite a bit. Money, also zooming ahead. Large part of that is the Apadana is really fueling things for me. Not entirely sure why it's actually improved that much in that many turns. Might just be specialists coming online, actually, luxuries. Order production continues to be solid. Thanks, Persia. Food production's pretty good still, plus 200. Iron, still getting more iron. Still don't feel like I have enough iron. Stone, I think, is pretty much okay. And wood production also. So, yeah, I'll scroll through the stats page as well. National wealth, not feeling very rich right now. Citizens and specialists. Specialists, you can see lots of officers. Not really that many. I don't think I've specialized that many cities into military production. Yeah, so military production here. Units lost, unit killed, the laws, decks, longest reign. I think that's this current ruler. Improvements and wonders. It's going to be a close one. My advantage, my lone advantage, I think right now is he has to attack into me. I know he has a unit here, right? I considered attacking into him, but I just do not have great vision. Really would love to get a scout here to see what's going on. He's going to get Colossus. He does have the better culture income, but I think I still have better culture because I simply have more cities. So we will see. I don't have great vision in terms of overall his empire. I think it's way worth more to steal research right now than it is to infiltrate to see where all his cities are. I have a great general idea right now. So pretty tense situation right now. Hopefully this guy hangs on, because having, like, a lot of this is opinion. He's the great, following the great. So yeah, although hero will be nice. He has an orator right now, I believe, which gives him a nice order advantage, potentially, which lets him move things around much better. I do wonder whether I should have tried to lightning strike some of his boats, my boats. I feel like he's catching up in boats, and maybe I had an early lead. I'm not sure. Yeah, feels very, very, very tense. So yeah, I just need to get some production going, really get ballistics up and running, get those marginals set up here so it becomes really hard for him to attack into anything. Just do not, I mean, ideally I want this all fortified with a row of pikemen, and then some marginals, and with everyone in forts. It's gonna be tough to do. So yeah, building ranchers for orders for now. All right, we will see you back in 10 years or less, depending if the game decides before then. My sort of pessimistic prediction is he's going to just burst into here, shatter my water power, and then just be able to go around my line and with pikes. And I don't really have anything to kill pikes right now. The best I have is these dudes, which aren't that great against pikes. 8 strength against 8 strength, really. So yeah, need something to kill pikes. Ballistics is one thing to kill pikes. Cohorts is another thing to kill pikes. This was very foreseeable, considering his choice of tech. I knew he had pikes for a long time, and I just did not do anything with that knowledge in terms of what I built. I kept building I went straight for cataphracts and built cataphracts and cataphract archers, which are great units, but not when facing pikes. So perhaps I should have sped up cohorts. Perhaps I shouldn't have taken autarky when I did. Kept getting tech. Actually curious which of us has the tech advantage right now. We are, oh, he's actually stronger than me. Shit. Okay. Yeah, that's not great. That means he's actually managed to, he's just upgraded so many units and just pumped out so many units. That's not good. This is not looking good for me right now at all. All right, we'll be back in 10 years or the end of the game. Just feel like I fell behind in military production and or he's timing his attack. Well, a lot of these pikes were spears and a lot of these longbows were slingers, so he did upgrade. Yeah, man, that's scary that he's stronger. Yeah, I just need units, and the units I can build, cataphracts and cataphract archers, are not good against this massive amount of pikes. I've just never seen this many pikes in my life. So yeah, he's definitely outplayed me. So not looking great. We'll check in 10 turns or when the game is over.
Turn 110. Surprisingly, We have not had any military clashes yet, although that is about to change. I have moved up pretty much all my units that I can and positioned them in the way I can strike. Pushed up into cover here, and my defensive promoted pikemen up in the open. Pulled up ships, anchored ships along the coast. We'll see how far he extends his navy to try to stop this. But unfortunately, we got severely ill, which is somewhat of a problem. We're not doomed yet, so there's still a chance we can turn this around. But even if we die, unfortunately, we have another orator lined up, freshly turned 18 this year, so we can make her the chosen heir, and this will turn out fine. I've checked. We are abdicating. Our opinion will still be above 200 for every family, so we will not lose any, or not many orders. We will lose some legitimacy, of course. So we can do this just fine, I think. There's of course the risk when we have a fresh ruler that enough units killed will turn into a negative cognomen. But the cities, we have no vulnerable cities, I think, so that's usually the biggest danger, losing a city when getting on the throne. He is getting really close to the points acquired. It's 13 points missing. That might sound like quite a bit still, but in this late in the game with this many cities, that gap can be closed really quick. He finished all his wonders, so there's no points coming from that at least. I mean, he is a builder still, so he has a chance to build the final wonder really quickly by stacking workers, but he hasn't started it, so he's probably not having the resources to do this right now. No, he's out of stone. So also he has a hero lined up, although he's currently not assigned probably because he got crippled somewhere along the line, but would be a danger of, if he was assigned anywhere on a ship, for example, that he could abdicate and launch offensive, especially with the size of our navies. That's would be quite a danger, but since he's not assigned, that's not something that he can pull out of his head. He would have liked a turn or two more to move some other units up to the front that have been accumulating in the back, but I don't think we can spare that many turns. I don't know how far away he is, how many turns, or if how many effort he has spent spreading around luxuries and so on to get as many cities to the next culture level as fast as possible. The city is also like 2 turns away from strong. This is also only 8 turns, so it's not just like we can expect the weak cities of his to turn over relatively fast. That's 8 points, and then if that's only another 5 points from developing cities getting to strong. So not much time left. We need to make a push and start capturing cities. Fortunately, in terms of military, he has been on the cusp of between weaker and weaker and similar, so he has quite a bit fewer units. And also I have lots and lots of pikemen, and he has mostly cavalry units, cataphract archers and cataphracts, and those do not do much against our pikes. He has went for pikes himself, which was a bit surprising to me because I was expecting him to get either swordsmen or ballistas to try and counter my pikes, but that's not what he did. He could have upgraded his spears to swordsmen instead of pikes, but he does not have swordsmen until now. He just recently got ballistas unlocked, so he has mills available and he is building. We can see he started building mills. So I guess he's either expecting this to go for a couple of turns longer, so those pay off in terms of resources, or he's trying to pretend everything is going at normal, and this is going to be over in 2 turns or so. We'll have to see. But actually, in his position, I would probably try, if he's not very few turns away, would looks like he's trying to make a stand along the river, but in his shoes I would probably try and retreat towards here. There's enough time to get forts up here and to get some ballistas out to counter my mass of pikes. If we're going to engage here, it's looking pretty much like I'm going to crush him. Like he can maybe kill, if he rushes forward, he can maybe kill 4, maybe 5 pikes or so with what he has. And then the counterattack will be absolutely devastating because I can almost, with my pikes and my well-promoted chariots, I have some lined up here, Horsebane, Strike, Bloodthirsty, or here with a Salad, Double Strike, Horsebane. There's quite a few here, Triple Strike. Mine are also Rider Chariots, so I can also employ flanking. So I can do some good damage. There's of course the river, but that's not as much of a problem for me. The pike, like river crossing is minus 50%, pikes get plus 100% versus horses. So as long he can of course move these pikes here, which will make it harder, but the pikes are then susceptible, like these 2 tiles are susceptible to my longbows. And I also have 1 ballista that will also hurt, and its ballistas are ranged, so they don't care about the river. And then I have 3 elephants lined up that can push units away from the river to open up some holes. So I think I can make an incision up here in the north, depending on how many ships he's going to kill that are anchored. Like, given by he had the cluster of ships here earlier when I poked my scout out like 2 or 3 turns ago. So I expect him to have something in the ballpark of 12 to 16 ships. He'll probably need 3 ships for each of these to kill if he lines them up, uses them correctly. Like I haven't seen any special promotions on him, no stunners, no fire ships, no grapplers and such, no coxswains that can rout. But he does have some Seaborn and some strike and combat promotions, as well as some generals. He placed a heckler here, so his generals will not do anything here. We have a guard that should at least force him to use 3 units here. This is a tactician then will hit back, so whatever he uses here gets damaged. This is guard promoted. So I hope at least one of these will survive, but if he pulls enough ships in to kill every one of these, he will basically be lined up perfectly for a route chain from my ships, and I have complete longbow support here on the coast. So any counterattack will completely wipe out his fleet if he kills every one of this, and this is then effectively a delay of 1 turn from for my armies. So we will see if he tries to hold, if he pulls back, whether his fleet comes in, or if he could also just kill a few ships here. Like these 2 ships basically extend the anchoring range beyond the river. So if one of these is still anchored, and I manage to push a hole through here, I can flood units into here. And I'd rather fight up here, where he has no national territory, so all his hunter cataphracts don't get sentinel. I've stopped most of my Volco production in the back. There's a bit still ongoing, but a lot of them are just idle now. It's like we're still going to work towards getting olives up here, there's some furs hidden here that we can see from the mirror map. Didn't quite see this in time, otherwise I would have directed my efforts in this direction and would have not gotten this salt online. And since we're getting here, could rush this, but I don't think it's necessary. It's also, I mean, there's enough resources that we could get online if we were to move workers in, but we need those orders for troop movements right now. Also stop chariot production, building pikemen and some more elephants. I'm expecting to lose these pretty fast. Rushing out some Drommons, probably want to rush out this as well. Got our wood up to 450. But that's still, if we keep rushing out Drommons, this many Drommons, we are still going to our wood pretty fast. We're not quite at fiscal policy yet. In terms of research, I went back and got Holy War, because I saw him rushing out some Drommons with Holy War, and I thought I could not keep up in numbers for our ships, so I delayed fiscal policy and got martial code instead. We are kind of almost there, but we just finished one of our steel science this turn. Increase are of course ongoing, as well as decrease. So this is probably done in 3 turns when the steel research finishes. And then we can switch over to Trade League, from Autarky to Trade League, just so I could to get the money to rush with Holy War. I also switched this turn to Exploration, because there's quite a lot of neutral rivers to use. He has, like, here on the outside is neutral that should be usable for me. So when we get to assault, we can use ship in here and then move along this river to do our attacks. I'm baffled that he's still running centralization and not vassalage. That the science can't be worth all the resources he's paying for upkeep on his troops, but that's probably an oversight from him. Otherwise, these are not worth enacting. Orthodoxy, we already passed 200, so the opinion bonus from the religion doesn't matter. We don't have the orders to spend for hurrying, so we might enact this if our armies get whittled down enough, so we can have the orders to spare again. Calligraphy and iconography, also not worth it. We don't have enough temples and monasteries online for this to matter. Elites is kind of be possible. This is basically gives us, we have one legendary city, so this would be one order for 50 training about. But I think we'll need this training for force marches more than we'll need it for orders. Guilds, our opinion is high enough. We don't need the minus discontent and the minus rebels chance, so all those don't matter. We are waiting for coin debasement to have this going. Otherwise, mostly unit production going on everywhere. Some more ballistas. It's not worth it to build these ballistas in the back. We don't have continuous road networks through to the front. We kind of have here, but the rivers are not quite as good to move the ballistas to the front, so those will take too long. We might switch if we can get a decisive victory on the sea. We might switch these coastal cities over to ballistas to counter his pikes, depending on how many he's bringing up to the front. Our longbows can deal with those fairly well. And pike versus pike is also decent. Although he has a fierce leader, which makes these strength 8 versus strength 8, like pikes versus pikes, longbows versus pikes, or when he's attacking with his cataphract archers against our pikes. This is our base, all base 8 strengths. There, these 5% bonuses come in really handy. But we'll see. I expect if our armies will clash, the land armies, I will be able to crush him. Navy, not quite sure. The problem is engaging is quite difficult because we have basically the same reach. So whoever moves all his navy in reach of the other, he can move in with everything. So we've positioned ourselves to be barely out of range of most of his ships. He has like one swift general and one maneuvers, but we're not. He can of course force march the whole fleet in, but it's hard to get a lot of kills in here because with the ships so clumped up, you usually need 3 attacks at least. Usually even more when we have like some seaborne or commanders that get adjacency bonuses. So it's hard to just kill the whole cluster off. Same with me, like he has these lined up. I can try to, wherever his line ends, I can try to like start getting through here, start routing through there, but it's not easy. It's more easy to bait him to kill my anchoring ships. And then swoop in myself. But we'll see how many, if he just tries to kill off 2 or tries to block this with ships, but we have fire ships to push him out of the way, if that's the case. So I think it's going to get bloody unless he completely withdraws behind this river. It's going to get really bloody really fast. So I'd say see you in 10 turns, but I might do a few more Sitreps in the upcoming turns, depending how the military situation unfolds. So, see you soon. Turn 112, and we are back already. This time less with a situation report and more with an ongoing battle. Last turn alcaras moved his fleet in, killed some of my anchored ships here that you saw in the last situation report. He killed 3 of my anchored ships. The one in the back survived. And we moved our own fleet in and basically killed most of his fleet in here, stunned these 3 ships, force marched to one of our grapplers here into the back, and stunned this ship that was trying to anchor and prevented this. So he has currently no reinforcement or retreat path. He brought in his reinforcements of ships in, killed the 1 drummer that was in here. So we are now planning to deal with the remainder of the fleet, as well as stage an assault on these entrenched positions, since he chose to make a stand here on the river instead of falling back. So we've already got our moves lined up and rewinded the turn to almost the beginning. We also, our previous leader died, as I was indicating. She became the new ruler just this turn, freshly on the throne as the new. Let's see how high we can get our cognomen in just 1 turn from killing units. First off, we need to deal with some ships here. Here we're just stunning here these ships again. The stunners are already in place, minimizing the orders used to deal with these. Then we move 1 fire ship in here to push this one back, clump these ships up for our routing ship to come in. This is our court soldier with 7 courage, commander. It's very strong, tough is in place, bloodthirsty is in action, so he can easily clean up with these ships. Here coming in, Cleave dealing some damage here and boosting the commander by being adjacent. Then getting some more ships in, and he can clean up. So now I will have to deal with the entrenched units along the river, and wisely we've brought in some elephants, so we're going to make an incision. Bring the elephant in front. The elephant's ability to panic, similar to the fire ship, can either stun units that have no tile to move to, or force them to move out of the way. And this is exactly what we're trying to do here. The attacking here will have a 50-50 chance to move to these tiles. Not sure if it's random or deterministic, depending on the positions. But we bring in 1 unit here, blocking this tile. If he would not fill in these spaces in the back, we'd have the option to bring the scout in to block a tile here, so he would not retreat into the back there, but come out in front of the river. So panic, moves him out, frees up this tile. This one was the amphibious promoted, so he can easily deal damage to the cataphract on the other side of the river. Bring in the chariot, bring in a ship to deal some additional points of damage to get the chariot, the longbow as well, another point or 2 points. And starting the route chain, some ships up here, and another longbow. This is why it's important to have some range support, so you can deal damage when you have no more space for your melee units. And now since we've last turn we also brought in 1 of our ships here to anchor, extending our anchoring zone just beyond the river so we can ferry in our troops on the other side, not paying for the river crossing and being able to move along this river with neutral river movement. Come in with our pikes, dealing massive damage to these horses. Pike on the other side. The tactician deals some damage back, but on the other side of the river that's not too much, and we are piercing through, dealing damage to the one behind. Coming in here, now starting to deal with this pikeman. Ballista dealing some decent damage to infantry, and as well as pierce damage to the two behind. Now the route train going here. Now we are starting to deal with this. This chariot came in for the flanking bonus from our riders. Bringing some pikemen in here. Second chariot to route through this cluster of units. This was our first force march, I think. In here now, I think this coming in here. One of our stronger pikes getting the zealot down to 1 HP. Finishing off with a longbow to make space for other units. Two-charging some of the cataphracts here. I'll bring in another elephant. These pikes is in forest and fortified almost to 5 fortifications where he would get a counterattack. But right now we're panicking out of the forest, cancelling all the fortification he has piled up, and force marching our second ballista in, shooting, even dealing some damage back here. Also forestry promoted, or ranger promoted. And sending some longbows to clean up. Now we're already down from over 130 orders down to 10, so we're choosing our final angle of attack. Dealing some final points of damage here and cleaning up this one. Some points of damage to this to finish our route chain here. And we're down to 0 orders. Still having some troops left over. So 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. About 11 troops still left over. One turn later we would finish fiscal policy because the steel research was finished and we could turn our resources into money and buy orders with money and bring in our last troops to clean up some more in the back here. Would have probably be wise to try and finish off this one cataphract, since it's one of his strongest units that's still remaining. But there's not many route chains he can accomplish in here. Probably his pikemen cleaning up some of our chariots and elephants. The cataphract archers, they can maybe kill off a pikeman or two. The cataphract, not sure. Could try to squeeze in and route through the longbows or through one of the ballistas, but not much he can do with just a couple of units left. Probably cleaned up about 2/3 of his units up in front, dropping him down to much weaker. This is essentially a death blow. With that, could buy some more orders, but I don't think I can get any more kills. I had all of the chariots I could reach. Those up here don't deal quite enough damage. I think the only one would be this, and we would have to force march him in. So it's like I need 6 orders. I could could technically have enough orders to do it, but that what units will not make a difference for him, and I'd rather keep the training for further force marches in case there was the battle would go on for longer, but this pretty much broke his back. He could get some more units out, but nothing he can do at this point. The elephants are very strong in this regard. Many people, or often, you would try to use these as stunners, but in these positions it's much more important to open up that one hole to punch through. If I had another half a dozen elephants, I could move these in here and stun the front line down here to get his pikemen out of commission. But that is more in the playbook of Carthage, that has way more elephants since those are their unique unit. Anyway, this probably spells the end of this game, or will spell the end of the game very soon. Unless he would be close enough to get his 10 points, or even more than 10 points in a few turns, since he will start losing cities now. These aren't fortified, so I can pretty much one turn all these cities without walls, chariots, or even all these strength 8 units. Need like 3 or 4 attacks to capture one of these cities, so this is those will not last long. So this will conclude this battle. So see you later.